Alright, I'm back. Let's just jump right into it. Debacle in the shop. Your tenure as a judge has yielded considerable results. More and more often, common people come to the prefecture to assert their rights, and succeed in doing so. Some local villagers have even started coming to seek the court's protection. All over the province, there is talk of a new era has come, that the law is in fact the same for all. This morning, on your way to the prefecture, you anticipate a peaceful day, full of paperwork. But as soon as you enter your office, Elborn rushes in after you. Don't sit down, Brante. You've been assigned an urgent investigation. This morning, a tradeswoman, old Mrs. Steiner, came to the prefecture with her 2 grandchildren. She demands that we punish Sir Verger for setting fire to her shop and trying to rob her. Well, the Steiners have just finished writing up the complaint when Verger himself came busting in. He immediately sued the Steiners for his own murder. I've come to warn you, Brante. Even though the Steiners were acting in self-defense, you still have to find in favor of Verger. You're surprised to hear this from Elborn. Seeing your perplexed look, the prefect frowns. I'll explain. Before, low-born shopkeepers like the Steiners wouldn't have dreamed of suing a nobleman. Everything was always decided in favor of the nobility, as you may recall. But now the law has more power. Our efforts have not been in vain. However, now we're talking about a murder of a nobleman by commoners. I'm afraid these changes have been too drastic. The governing elite of the province are watching our every step. Justifying the murder of a nobleman would be going too far. The overseer and the magistrate might well decide that it's time to take back the common people's rights. We can't let that happen, Angelo. Court is in session. You are presiding over the Board of Justice. One bench is occupied by the somber Maximilian Verger. His papers state that he is a nobleman of the sword, living off his estate. He strokes the pommel of his sword nervously and breathes heavily, ready to explode in a fit of rage. On the other bench you see the Steiners, the low-born owners of the well-known jewelry store. Anne Steiner, a short, wizened woman, wrapped in several layers of dark silk, looks defiantly at Verger. Her 2 grandchildren stand silently behind her, their faces impassive. My squad noticed the fire at the Steiner shop. We stormed in and saw the Steiners standing over the dead body of Verger and watching it crumble to dust. The old woman shouted that she had to go to the prefecture, so we brought her and her children here, and Sir Verger suffered a lesser death before our very eyes. Miscreants! Those low-born scum killed me! You sternly call for the nobleman to order. The commoners will speak first. Sir Verger showed up at our shop at dawn and started banging on the door. We opened, despite him being completely drunk, scarcely able to stand on his feet. He demanded to see our pearls. Well, what could I do? I showed them to him, and then he started sweeping our pearls right into his own pockets. I tell him, those pearls are not free, sir, but he draws his sword. I'm a nobleman, he says. Everything should be free for me. Such is your lot, he yells. Your lot is to work for me. Well, I explain that the pearls cost 20 coins, so he takes a lit lamp and smashes it onto the floor, and then he charges at me with his sword. My grandchildren came to my rescue. They went and pushed him. They used no weapon naturally. Sir Verger hit his temple against a showcase and fell. He came to see how he was, but he was already dying. We didn't kill him, his own anger did. So I didn't come here to confess to murder, but to ask you, Your Honor, to protect our family against this bloodsucker. We had a hard time putting the fires in the shop out after what this rascal did. You ungrateful old hag. You should have been delighted that I was taking your pearls. All of high society would have seen them. Wow. You should have been grateful I was robbing from you. You're a blasphemer, too, not knowing your lot. The lowborn must not contradict us nobles. It's forbidden. I know my lot. I'm supposed to command. So I'm in my right when I take what I want from this rabble. and His Honor the Judge will agree with me. Your Honor, I appeal to you. One nobleman to another. It's simply an outrage for the rabble to behave like this. Those little shopkeepers took my first life from me. Me, the heir to the Elverger legacy. I demand that these Steiners be hanged at once, or burned at the stake, since they follow the heresy of Fotist. Only the heretics deny their lot. There's commotion in the courtroom. Those who came to support the Steiners are infuriated by the nobleman's words. Elverger's noble friends frantically demand that the lowborn be silenced. You call to the court to order, but to no avail. The room will not calm down until you deliver your verdict. You rub your temple. If you manage to acquit the old lady, it will set a precedent for the entire empire. The lowborn have never had the right to defend themselves with force against one another, let alone the nobles. You have the increased influence of the prefecture at your side. You could even try to legalize the right of the common people of Margaret to defend their lives. But such a daring move will not succeed without the support of powerful people. You remember Elborn's warning. What would the consequence of your decisions be for the common folk of Anizote? Should you acquit the Steiners? Can you? Well, we won't be granting them the right of self-defense. We can punish the Steiners, or we can acquit the Steiners. Prefect Elborn has said we can't acquit the Steiners, but clearly we can. Let me see. I'm quite interested in what's going on here, because I feel this is really important that we get this right. So let me look. I'm trying to see. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for. In order to get ought in sentence, we need either an 8 or a 9 in justice. So we're at an 8 now. If we punish the Steiners, we'll lose 2, which seems pretty bad. So I'm quite cognizant of that fact. I'm kind of leaning to acquit and just say, screw you, Elborn, I'll do what I want. The Steiners were merely protecting themselves. They broke no law. Elverger seems like a piece of work too, so it's kind of nice to stick it to him. You rise, cutting off the racket in the room, and begin your speech. You gesture passionately, pulling all your faith in the power of justice into every word you utter. You have heard both parties and are ready to deliver your verdict. However much Elverger may cling to the lots, he is not in a church. He is in the court of law, and this court's duty is to judge all the estates and decide all cases fairly. This case is of a nobleman who believes he has the right to rob and murder commoners as he sees fit. The Steiners are completely innocent. They were merely defending themselves against Elverger's assault. They are free to go. On pain of punishment, Elverger must not persecute these people further or make any attempt on their property. The courtroom is stunned by your decision. For a few moments, everyone is frozen, unable to believe that you have just acquitted the killers of a nobleman. Then the common folk burst into cheers. The guards escort the enraged Elverger out of the room by force. Flummoxed, the Steiners talk over each other in their haste to thank you. The other judges stare at you in horror. The trial is over. Well then, Brante, it's a shame you didn't follow my advice. Now the lowborn have nothing to stop them from taking up arms. There's a terrible storm brewing. We can only hope we won't be smashed against the rocks. Now, Elborn, you talk a big game about protecting the commoners, and then you say that. I don't know what to say. Well, the commoners have seized power now. We'll see what happens then. Our elegance is up, but I don't think that'll help us much, because it's still quite low. 1144. The Archduke relents. After many years, the simmering, unceasing hostilities between Overseer Gaius Tempest and Archduke Milonitis have come to an end. The Archduke has abandoned all attempts to collect additional taxes from the people. By my grace, I hereby release the common people of Margra from the Archduke's tax. All hail the dynasty of Milanitis, which has protected you since time immemorial. The farmers and merchants can finally have a sigh of relief. Unexpectedly, the Archduke soon withdrew from all provincial affairs, sequestering himself to his ancestral castle of Serpenverda. The gentry who remained loyal to the Archduke are baffled. Has he accepted defeat at the hands of the Overseer, or is it just an elaborate ruse? Either way, with the Archduke out of the picture, the senior gentry of Margra have lost some of their influence to the Overseer and his retinue of budding dynasties and nobles of the mantle. The feud between the two Arcane rulers has ended, but the noble estate has been split nonetheless. The common people see this as yet another reason to demand change. Wealth moves back up to security level, and power goes back to 0. Seventh year of service. Another year of servants as a judge is behind you, but you have no time to celebrate. Your days are filled with unremarkable litigation and similar-looking complaints. Again and again you see poorly written complaint forms. They claim that noble landowners are extorting money, punishing commoners for nothing, doing whatever they please. You have noticed a change in tone, from pleading to desperate to quietly furious. The lowborn lot is to suffer, but how much longer can they endure? Every day, once the petty litigation has been dealt with, you return to Otten's case. Again and again, for 2 years now, you search for a way to do the unthinkable, to have an Archnean, and the High Commander at that, convicted for his crimes. You have not heard from Otten since your encounter at the City Hall, but he likely has spies among the judges and gendarmes. Sooner or later, he will realize the true state of your progress and find a way to get rid of this case, and you. Unless you are prepared to strike the first blow. But what should you do? Will you speak against Otten in public and summon him to trial? Is there any other way to deal with the High Commander? Either way, now is not the time, and so you wait and prepare. Well, things are starting to get tense, aren't they? Justice for all. As you approach the steps of the prefecture today, a line of Legion soldiers wearing red cloaks bar your path. They are the personal guard of the provincial overseer. Has Gaius Tempest graced you with his august presence? You enter only after presenting your judge's signet to the guards. The common room of the prefecture is remarkably quiet and deserted. All petitioners have been chased away. The judges and gendarmes do not dare to leave their offices. Everyone is afraid to breathe. The overseer, the emperor's own brother, has arrived completely unexpectedly. The guards standing watch say you are expected in the prefect's office. You are escorted upstairs. Elborn is visibly anxious. The honored guest is there, reclining in the prefect's comfortable chair. His crimson fur-trimmed coat cast over its back. His overseer Gaius Tempest himself. It should be its. It is Overseer Gaius Tempest himself. You bow deeply to the Overseer. He acknowledges your presence with a quick nod and turns back to Elborn. Well, Elborn, I am positively incensed to see what has become of the city under your care. I put you in this seat to instill order under imperial law, but you have given the commoners too many freedoms. And now they are revolting against their lot in the Emperor's rule, plotting, forming secret societies, and now an explosion in Anazote, an attempt on the magistrate's life. Everyone in the city is talking about some group called the Last Straw. This is unthinkable. Elborn accepts the blame without a sign of emotion, but you notice the muscles twitch between the wrinkles on his face. I have ordered the secret chancellery to deal with the Last Straw, but their leader, a lowborn woman named Sophia, is still at large. Last night I ordered a Legion squad to set a trap for this Sophia. We almost had her, but then an Arcane appeared and attacked the soldiers. Elborn glances at you, confused, an unspoken question in his eyes. Did you hear that, Brante? An Arcane, defending a lowborn woman, but how? Indeed, Prefect. One Anthony Fess, a young Arcane of little note. It seems he now values lowborn insurgents more than his high birth, his honor, and his loyalty to the imperial dynasty. Baron Elfaro of the Secret Chancellery has been tracking him for quite some time. The young man began mingling with a revolutionary rabble and has since lost his mind. Now he swings his sword about in defense of the rights of the common folk. Let us leave the insurgents to the secret chancellery. That is their duty. What concerns me, however, is Anthony Fess. My legionaries were nipping at the insurgents' heels, and then this Archnean appears and murdered 5 soldiers. Those poor souls were utterly flummoxed, unsure whether to fight back or humbly accept their death at the hands of an Archnean. The mind boggles, Your Eminence. An Archnean has broken the law for the sake of the common estate. May I assume Your Eminence has a plan for this, Sir Fess? Wouldn't that I had even a semblance of a plan. What a sordid predicament. Anthony Fess is a traitor who has committed a great offense against the crown. Yet he is an Archnean. I shudder to think what might happen were he to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This has never happened in all of the province's history. The Archnean dynasties will not tolerate it. And Archduke Melanitis will be swift to take advantage of the situation and undermine my authority in the province. Your Eminence, the law of the Empire is the same for all its subjects. Perhaps it would be better to have its power demonstrated. Once and for all, Sir Fess challenged more than the soldiers of the Legion. He challenged the rule of the Emperor himself. Elborn, what did I just tell you? Prosecuting an Archnean would represent an even greater threat to my authority. Find another way. This Fess is young and hot-tempered, so push him into the breaking point in the courtroom. Get him to draw his sword. Let everyone see him for the dangerous traitor he is, even for an Archnean. This would be an unforgivable transgression. Not even the Archduke would dispute a verdict against him. Gaius Tempest gaze focuses on you. Not pauses. You do your best to show no emotion and remain as invisible as possible until the Overseer gives you permission to speak. Judge Brante, you are here for a reason. You will handle the prosecution. I'd rather have Sir Prefect deal with this mess of a case himself, but he is too powerful to risk if it fails. Rest assured, many nobles and Archneans will demand you set him free no matter how much evidence you have against him. The traitor Fess must be punished, but I ask you to ensure that my reputation remains untarnished. I have no intention of going down in history as the Overseer who allowed our inviolable Archnean rights to be compromised. That would be crossing the line. Prepare your case. Gaius Tempest rises from his seat in the blink of an eye and walks out, escorted by his guards. For a few seconds, utter silence fills the prefect's office. Then, at long last, Elborn feels no longer he has to restrain himself. He blames me for what's going on? Me, his most loyal human. No, I will do everything I can to have that criminal punished. Do you realize how much it will advance our cause if we can get that Archnean condemned in the court of law? This is the only way we can instill the rule of law in these lands, Brante. The Overseer insists that the trial be scheduled for tomorrow. Anthony Fess has been located. He was found and surrounded by gendarmes on the street. However, he did not resist and gave his word of honor to stand trial. You barely have time to prepare the charges before entering the courtroom. The normally half-empty seats of the courtroom are crowded today. The highest ranks of the aristocracy and the most noble families of dynasty all focus their gaze on you as soon as you step inside. In the depths of the courtroom, you notice Octavia Melanitis, surrounded by her retinue of young ladies. The Archduke's daughter watches the trial unfold with a wry, indifferent smile. You ascend to the podium. Prefect Elborn himself presides over the board of judges. The courtroom doors swing open, and the defendant Anthony Fess enters, escorted by gendarmes. The young Archnean is dressed in a defiantly modest garb for his status. No embellishments, no jewelry, just a simple linen undershirt. However, he still carries a sword, as expected from a highborn noble. You read the charges as procedure demands. Sir Anthony Fess willfully caused the lesser deaths of 5 soldiers of the Legion, thereby allowing a number of last-straw insurgents to escape punishment. Murmuring fills the courtroom. The Archnean's large dark eyes watch closely, catching every motion in the hall. Then, suddenly, Anthony Fess interrupts you to speak for himself. People of Anazote, I was not brought here by force today. I broke the law, and I am ready and willing to be held accountable before all of you. I fought those Legion soldiers, and I killed him. Did I violate Imperial law? Yes, I did. Yet does anyone even bother to count the transgressions committed by our rulers on a daily basis? Why does this law exist, if no one follows it? I do not accept a law that offers no salvation by eternal tyranny for the common estate. By my birth, I was given the power to rule over humans, but if suffering is all that rule brings, then I reject it. I am ready and willing to sacrifice my very life for the sake of justice, so that all citizens of the Empire will begin to respect the law. The young Archnean's words, loud and desperately audacious, sparked turmoil in the courtroom. The stunned board of judges is at a loss for words. The gendarmes freeze in confusion, and the nobles are terrified. You hear their screams. Madmen, pull yourself together. You're no commoner, you're an Archnean. The courtroom is on verge of exploding with tension. The gendarmes try in vain to placate the audience. The board of judges looks to you. As the prosecutor, you must continue reading the charges against the defendant. The fate of the rebellious Archnean is in your hands, but do you have what it takes to make the most of this situation? Okay, well, we can provoke. We can acquit him. We can ask our favorite Octavia for aid. We can find him guilty as the law demands. I'm looking at this option. It gets a plus reputation. And I'm kind of wondering, it was one of my goals to be ennobled by the sword. And we're certainly close to doing that. But it might make sense to get an extra reputation in case we have to spend one later. This will also result in a death, and that would be 3 out of 3, and we'd only have 1 life left. But I think this is crazy, but I'm going to try it. Provoke the Archnean. You take advantage of the tense situation to provoke the defendant to draw his sword. As passions in the courtroom are running high, you prepare yourself for what is about to come. Your hand clutching at the hilt of your sword. Your eyes studying the young Archnean's heated face as he fervently affirms the justice of his position. Then you announce that the prosecution must continue to read the charges against the defendant. The courtroom grows quiet, and you continue your opening remarks. Sir Anthony Fess has publicly declared that he does not accept Imperial law. Does this mean that Sir Fess is willing to take any life in this courtroom for the sake of his cause, just as he took those of 5 Legion soldiers? I have as much faith in your laws as you do, Your Honor, but I would never kill anyone without cause. I fight for the common people. Slowly you approach the defendant, your hand ready on the hilt of your sword. Then it seems Sir Fess is not truly willing to go all the way for his cause. Is he not ready to prove in public to everyone without fear that the law must not be obeyed? You do not speak those last few words. You scream them in the Archnean's face. No, you continue. You are more than a traitor, Sir Fess. You are a coward and a liar. A grimace of pure hatred contorts on the young Archnean's face. He draws his sword and attacks you in an instant. Everyone in the courtroom freezes in terror. How dare you call me a liar? I'm not afraid of you, nor of the Legion, nor of the Emperor himself. Anthony Fess assaults you with a storm of slashes and strikes. You parry them furiously, but you cannot withstand the strength and skill of the Archnean. He presses you to a wall of the podium. All eyes on the fight. The gendarmes rush to your aid, but the Archnean's blade flashes so quickly they cannot even hope to approach you. You mount your last defense, your strength failing. The frenzied young Archnean strikes you down with all of his fury, almost as if he sees you as the embodiment of all injustice in the Empire. You are too slow to parry his next blow. The steel sinks into your heart with a burst of chilling pain. It shudders and stops. A lady's muffled scream from deep within the courtroom is the last thing you hear. You're surrounded by an immense gray void. There is nothing but shadows around you. The specters of your decision, the spawn of your personal will. You see before you all your victories and defeats, all your errors and hopes. Another shadow comes to life by your side. As you gaze at the elusive moving silhouettes, you recognize your last action. This is the death you chose to face, knowing what fate was to befall you. This is the decision you made. The shadows keep spinning and dancing around you. The footprints of every step you have taken since the day you were born. A colossal figure looms over them all. Your future, true death. You can no longer deny its imminence. It has always been there, waiting for you. Now you are only one step away from it. But you will take this step yourself. The familiar gigantic figures of the twin gods appear from the void to meet you. They effortlessly lift your tiny soul and hold it in their hands. You have always been in the twin gods' hands. Their will created you. The elder did not grant you his love. He forced it into you. The younger shaped you according to his law without giving you a choice. An enormous whirlwind arises in the void. The twin gods release you into it, and the torrent of an unfathomable will whisks you away. You are merely a minuscule particle of this universal tide. This will is the sole determiner of all events, past, present, and future. Your puny actions and choices are nothing in the face of the force this torrent harbors. The whirl in the cosmic vortex of the twin gods' will, until it casts you out. You careen back down to your earthly life. It is only now you regain your ability to act. You see all the wills of the universe intertwined in a perpetual struggle against each other. Which will do you follow? The will of the elder. The will of the younger. Earthly power. Blood tide. History, or your own will. I must say, this is the one that speaks to me, definitely. Your own will. The only will you are willing to live by is your own. You fall into an endless web formed by the wheels of the mortal world. Now that you are free of the cosmic vortex, you can finally exert your own will and make a choice. It feels like a first gasp of air after being suffocated by an alien will, the will of the gods. But for your chosen will to be incarnated here in this world, one decision is not enough. You will have to follow this path to its conclusion, to turn this will into reality by way of your decisions, deeds, and actions. Your eyes snap open, and you sit up abruptly. The crypt is spinning around you. The stagnant stench chokes you. You got out. You succeeded in preserving yourself against the whirlwind that was tearing you asunder. The will of the twin gods have commanded you to continue your existence. You feel the urge to fall flat on your back and cackle madly. You are back. Okay. I cannot die anymore, though, so let's try and avoid that if at all possible. You return to life upon the slab of stone set in the center of your family crypt. Naked, blank, reborn. A massive silhouette in a heavy cloak leans over you. It takes some time to recognize your own father. At last you have returned, son. You had found him guilty, but at the cost of your own life. Were you prepared for this? I do not know, but your sacrifice was not in vain. The Archnean Anthony Fest has been exiled to the Northern Isles. His entire family estate will go to the Overseer. After the assault in the courtroom, no Archnean could say a word against it. He was convicted of treason and conspiracy against the crown. Needless to say, this is a singular occasion for our province. Gaius Tempest is pleased with the way you resolved the trial against the Archnean insurgent. We have received a letter expressing his gratitude. Your career is sure to soar now. Our family is favored by the Overseer. Now we must use that favor wisely before it is gone. But just think of the sheer scale of the situation you have gotten yourself involved in. The Archnean sentence is the talk of Anizote. Everyone saw that the law has power even over the higher race, though the common folk still bemoan the fate of the only Archnean defiant enough to fight for their cause. As you walk up the stairs out of the crypt, you cannot help but remember the young Arcanian's eyes. The way they burned with a righteous flame. The way he risked it all for the common estate. In the end, Anthony Fest was sacrificed for justice, although it was not the kind of sacrifice he had in mind. So, we're up to 6. Power remains at 10. And our reputation is now 9. We are renowned among nobles. Still. Willpower down to 10. Manipulation up to 14. And we have died thrice. So we will do our best to avoid that. Deathbed. Before that, I'm going to go ahead and pause it though. I almost kept going. But it's been 30 minutes. So, with that, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I love you. Not really.